Hello, everyone. It's nearly 5 p.m. in Eastern Standard Time. We are going to start the event within the next moment or two. So we're waiting for those that are still logging in to join. But I appreciate all of your promptness, and I'm happy for you to be joining us. And sorry for the wait, but we do want to make sure that we're waiting for everybody to join. So hello and welcome. It is 5 o'clock, so I'm going to get moving. Thank you for joining us again. I am Mara Walsh. I'm your host for today's tour to Egypt. I have also opened up this event on our private Facebook group, Girl Travel Tours. So if you are having any trouble or you want to change over to that venue, that's fine as well. I'm going to share a little bit about myself with you for those of you that are new to our tours. I am a travel group leader, and I use EF Tours and their adult division Go Ahead Tours as my travel partner. I started leading tours as a Girl Scout leader, taking girls and their families to international destinations every summer. I've since expanded my program, and I've added adult-only tours as well as family-friendly tours. I have traveled all over the world with groups as large as 70 and as small as 17, depending on the tour and the interest. I know there are a lot of people on this virtual tour that have been on physical tours with me, so welcome back. And I know that there are lots of newcomers that are just traveling with us virtually, so welcome. I've done several virtual tours in the past weeks, including Rome, Edinburgh, Paris, London, Peru, Ireland, Greece, Ecuador, and Prague. I know many of you have joined us, but if you did miss out on any of those tours and you're interested in the recordings, they are available at girltravel.com. Oh, I'm sorry, girltraveltours.com/virtual-tours. And you can take a screenshot of the slide that's up now for the website address if you'd like. We have several more tours in the works coming up, and they are including a literary tour of the United Kingdom, Russia, Spain, the Prado Museum, China, the Amalfi Coast, an African safari, New Zealand, and a special Oktoberfest tour that we are doing that's including Bulgaria and Munich. And I'm sure there will be tours after that going into the fall months as well. To reiterate, you can register for future tours and view all of the recordings of past tours on our website, girltraveltours.com. There's a virtual tours button on the menu that you can just click on and you can access all of them. But today we are concentrating on Egypt, a destination I have visited in 2018 and was on my bucket list since I was 16 years old. Before I get going, I wanted to share a few important details with you. If you're having audio issues and cannot hear me or the tour director during the tour, you can put in your earbuds. That often helps. You can use a headset, or you can adjust your Zoom audio by clicking on the arrow next to your mute and unmute button. It's to the right of the mute button, and you will find audio options there that can adjust your volume. You can use the chat freely. That's also on your Zoom toolbar. You can chat me if you have questions about anything that is not directly related to the tour director, and I will answer them throughout the tour. You can also use the question and answer feature on your toolbar. Please know that anything you put in that will be shared with the audience at the end of the tour. So if it's just a comment that you don't want shared with the audience, use the chat. But if it's a question specific for the tour and the tour director, please use the Q&A on your toolbar. I always like to see what's going on with you as well. So I am going to launch a poll question right now to see what your, I was afraid of this and I was hesitating as I launched it, but I'm gonna improvise because I did not update this poll question. But let's pretend this poll says, what is your connection to London? It says London, but we're gonna pretend it says Egypt. What's your connection to Egypt? I've been and loved it. I have a trip booked. I plan to go in the future, or I'm solely interested in experiencing this virtually. I'm going to wait for most of you to get on and answer. Again, what is your connection to Egypt? I had a little bit of technical difficulty as we were starting the presentation because for some reason it turned on about 30 minutes early, so I wasn't able to set up all of the things that I normally do. So I was a little bit scrambling, so please excuse the fact that the poll says London. It's really supposed to be geared to Egypt. What is your connection to Egypt? Okay, we have about 70% of the people that have logged their answers. So I'm going to end the poll now. It looks like about 44% plan to go in the future. About 14% have loved it in the past. And the rest of you seem to be enjoying the virtual tours that we're doing. There's a really small percent of people that have a trip booked, and I'm glad you do. I'm gonna end that and I'm gonna share the results with the audience so that you can see the results. So you can see the differences. There's a handful of people that are booked in, so you'll really enjoy this tour as well. I'm gonna stop sharing that so that it's not in your screen. Okay, and then I'm gonna move on. Well, regardless of how much you know about Egypt right now, I hope to enhance that with the tour, and I'm sure that you will learn more from our friend Samia. A tour would not be complete without an amazing tour director. Our tour director is like a personal travel concierge who stays with our group from start to finish. She shares a world of knowledge. She manages all of our travel plans, and she makes sure our experience is stressless and full of positive experiences, allowing us to travel with no problems. These are by far the most important people in our group. And you can imagine, if we're not traveling, these tour directors are not working. So I'm hoping that this virtual tour will not only keep our desire to travel alive, but will allow a tour director to do what she does best and share her knowledge and passion for her country while earning some tips along the way. 100% of the tips go directly to the tour director. I am so happy to introduce you to my favorite Egyptologist, who I had the pleasure of traveling Egypt with a few years ago. Samia is extremely knowledgeable and a wonderful human being with a kind soul. I'm sure you will agree with all of that after this tour today. So without further ado, I introduce you to my friend, Egypt's best, Samia. Samia, you can take it away. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen, and you can take the share over and share your screen and start your presentation.
Share screen. So, hello everybody. Can you hear me well? Amara, can you hear me? Everything is fine? Hello? So guys,
it looks like everybody can hear you, Samia, so you are ready to go.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mara, for your introducing me and introducing Egypt. I know Egypt is a dream for everyone, and it's a great opportunity for me, and it's an honor for me to be with you tonight. Of course, Egypt, it's a beautiful country, and I hope you all prepared your luggage and are ready to come with me and enjoy our beautiful, interesting sightseeing together. Egypt Air flight is ready to take you to Egypt. And actually, Egypt from the sky, it's just wonderful. And actually, you can see here the Nile River. And actually, the Nile River, it looks like the lotus flower. And lotus flower, it's a symbol of Egypt, a symbol of love. So I'm sending you love from Egypt to everyone. Egypt, actually, it's a very big and huge country, and it's located in the northeast of Africa continent. In the north, we have the Mediterranean Sea. In the west, we are sharing the borders with Libya. In the south, we are sharing the borders with Sudan. In the east, we have the Red Sea. Further in the north of the Red Sea, we have the two Gulf of Suez and Gulf of Aqaba. In between the two Gulf, we have Sinai. Sinai, it's very strategic location because it's considered the connection between Africa continent and Asia continent. Plus, Sinai is considered a holy and spiritual place because all the prophets, they came to Egypt. They stayed in Sinai in different part of it, or they passed by different locations in Sinai. Let's say a little bit in the center of Sinai, we have Mount Moses, where Prophet Moses talked to God in this spiritual place. Also, in the center of Sinai, in St. Catherine, we have the crypt where Jesus Christ and Virgin Mary stayed. So in Sinai, we have a lot of very interesting religious places, and actually all these places are still in a perfect conditions. Like you see, the yellow color is spread everywhere because let's say 94% of the size of Egypt is just desert. And a little bit in the center of Egypt, we have the Nile River. And the Nile River divides the deserts into two main sections, the Western Desert and the Eastern Deserts. For the Nile River, it's considered the longest river in the whole world. The length of the Nile River, it's about 4,200 miles. And actually, we always say the Nile River, it was the reason behind our great civilizations. In this map, actually, it's more about the Nile River, where the Nile started, like you see, started from the heart of Africa, from the country called Uganda, a little bit in the heart of Africa. Then the water runs further north to reach the Mediterranean Sea. And actually, we are sharing about 10 different countries for the water of the Nile. This is another map. It's mainly about the map during the ancient time, how Egypt looked like. And actually, it's not a big difference between the map in ancient time and today, because let's say 90 million people of the Egyptian, they live in the delta of the Nile or by the banks of the Nile River. And actually, all the time when we say Egypt, of course, it will come to our mind directly the main capital of Egypt, which is Cairo. Cairo is considered one of the 10 busiest cities in the world, in the whole world. The people in Cairo, they never sleep. They stay awake till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And actually, Cairo is considered the main capital of Egypt. And actually, all the time, a lot of people, they get confused because when they say Cairo, they include the Giza city and another different 4 cities attached to Cairo. So when we say Cairo, we mean the greater Cairo, which consists of Cairo and the east side of the Nile, and Giza city, which is located in the west side of the Nile, plus another different cities in the outer skirt of Cairo and Giza. Let's say the population of Cairo today reached 25 million people. That's why it's busy and crowded all the time. So sometimes we have the city packed with cars like that. Of course, we have bridges everywhere. And actually, our president, El-Sisi, he held one of the mega projects to help the traffic in Cairo or in the big cities in Egypt. So let's say nowadays we are building Egypt, new roads everywhere. Let's say more than 5,000 kilometer new roads added to the old roads all over Egypt. Um, Cairo and Giza is always busy and crowded like that. Now we will move a little bit to the ancient history. And we all know that Egypt, it has a very long history. It's over than 5,000 years of history. And we are lucky because everything is still in a perfect conditions. Most of our treasures is still in a perfect conditions till now. And a lot of our visitors, they always ask, what's the secret behind these great civilizations? Why the ancient Egyptian people, they were very clever and talent like that. Actually, for me, when I start think about the ancient Egyptian people, how they lived, try to escape from the modern technology, and imagine Egypt, it was just the river and the desert, and how the ancient Egyptian people, they started to think about everything. They started everything from nothing. They invented everything, actually. Why I'm telling you that? Because if we think about 3000, before 3200 BC, it was nothing. They started from nothing. They used all the natural ingredients, natural tools around them. And actually, the secret, the main thing, secret behind these great civilizations is their beliefs, their faith, because what we have today is related to their beliefs. If you want to understand the ancient history and ancient civilizations, you need to bear in your mind only one word, which is eternity, resurrections, life after death, paradise. Because from day one, they made and built everything for the life after death. So they lived their life for preparing everything for the afterlife, for eternity, for life after death. That's why we found the mummies. That's why they wanted to keep their bodies intact, to resurrect in the afterlife. That's why they wanted to keep and prepare the body in the perfect condition as it is. That's why we found all these mummies in a perfect conditions till today. So second, where they gonna put the mummies, they will put it in a wooden box or a wooden casket. It's like the casket we have today. And during the ancient times, they call it the coffin. Then after that, after they put the mummy inside the coffin, they took the coffin and they put it either in a tomb, normal, small, regular tomb, or a pyramid. And of course, in Egypt, we have more than 120 pyramids. Of course, not all of them are the same. Every pyramid is a unique with different designs. And during my presentations, I will go through all these topics. And yes?
Samia, may I interrupt you for 1 second? I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I'm not sure that you know. The slides are in slide mode and not presentation mode, so they're not as large as some people would be able to see them. So is there a way that you could adjust for presentation mode so everybody can see them as large as possible?
Okay,
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. So guys, actually, we didn't get to know anything about our ancient civilizations until we found Rosetta Stone. And actually, Rosetta Stone, it's very important to us because we get to know the translations of the hieroglyphics language, the ancient secret language used by the ancient Egyptian people. How it looks like symbols. And actually, the French archaeologist called Champollion, who succeeded to tell us the translations of the hieroglyphics letters. During the ancient time, they were different ancient languages like the hieroglyphics, like the Hieratic language and Demotic language. And by the 2nd century AD, the ancient or the Egyptian in general, they started to use the Coptic language. Also here, you can see this frame. This is called cartouche. It's very important to us as Egyptologists because it was used exclusively by kings and queens. They were only able to put their names inside the cartouche. We will start our tour usually from the oldest to the newest. Usually we start by visiting Saqqara Plateau, which is one of the most interesting archaeological sites. And it's considered the biggest cemetery. It houses a lot of tombs for thousands of years, belongs to a different standard of people, kings and queens, high officials. And by the main entrance of Saqqara Plateau, Imhotep, this is the statue of Imhotep. Imhotep, he was the most famous ancient architect who built the first pyramid in Egypt. This pyramid is called the Step Pyramid, located in Saqqara Plateau inside one of the beautiful, impressive funeral complex. And actually this complex dates back to 2600 BC. The pyramid is considered the first pyramid in ancient time, and it is the first time they started to use stone in the constructions of the tomb for the king. That's why Imhotep, he was a genius architect. Actually, we are lucky because the Minister of Antiquities announced few months ago that nowadays we can go underneath to see the imperial chamber of the Step Pyramid for the first time since it was built 2600 BC. So we can feel the original energy or get the original energy from this place. How it looks like, this is the main entrance of the pyramids. And of course, the archaeologists, they made restoration and renovations to the interior of the pyramids. Like you see here, we supported the ceiling. This is under the ground. This is 27 meters under the ground. How it looks like. It's so beautiful, big and huge. How they get to dig the size of the main imperial chamber under the ground like that. And actually, this place nowadays, it's safe to visit. And actually, it will be the present to all our clients to have the chance to go inside the first pyramid built in Egypt. And this is the view of the complex, and this is the ruins of the main entrance of the complex of the Step Pyramid. Actually, here in Egypt, as I told you, we have more than 120 pyramids. And from the constructions of the Step Pyramid to reach the design of the true pyramid, we found different design, like the Pent Pyramid. It's like, oh my God, it's not Step Pyramid or it's not a true pyramid. Because actually the architect at the time, he wasn't clever enough to make a true pyramid. He miscalculated the angle of the surface. And the final shape, like you see, it's like a mastaba and little pyramid on the top. Then after that, we will move a little bit from the locations of the Pent Pyramid or the Step Pyramids. Actually, this area, it's full of different pyramids and different tombs, different sizes. And actually, usually when we go there, we go inside another pyramid, which is called the Teti Pyramid. It's one of the most interesting one. Why that? Because it's the first pyramid we found what we call it the pyramid text or the magic spell inside the pyramid. Actually, this is the main entrance. I'm going inside. Actually, a lot of people, they never been inside the pyramid before, and actually they don't know exactly how it looks like. And usually we go inside. Sometimes the main imperial chamber is dug under the ground or in the body of the pyramid, in the center of the pyramid, like the pyramid of King Cheops. So King Titi, it's to go inside, it's easier than the other pyramids, but it's still a little bit hard. It's the same way in is the same way out. And in the end of this shaft, we reached the bottom, and it led us to the main burial chamber. Like you see here, all these carvings, all these the magic spells written in hieroglyphics letters. And here, this is the main burial chamber. Look to the ceiling. It's not flat. How they enter big block of stones like that. And here in the center, we have this big box, which is called the sarcophagi, where they used to put the wooden coffin and the mummy of the king inside the pyramid. The pyramid, it's built for only one person. And actually, it was like the house of eternity. That's why every king, he wanted to have something unique in the afterlife. That's why King Titi, he decorated all the walls inside his pyramid with this beautiful magic spell written in hieroglyphics. And actually for us, it was very easy to know who was the owner because we found the name of Titi in the cartouche everywhere in the wall. Around the pyramids, we found different tombs. And actually from the tombs, we get to know all the informations about the ancient Egyptian people. Some tombs, it has more than 20 rooms. Actually, the ancient Egyptian people, they were keen to carve and write down all the details of their daily life on the wall inside their tombs. Like you see here, they carved the statues of the owner and note that all these colors, this is the original colors. From the walls inside the tombs, we get to know more about the fishing during the pharaonic time. We get to know the different sort of fish. We get to know that we had crocodiles and hippo on the Nile. The different tools used for fishing. The ancient Egyptian people, they believed in eternity and they wanted to be combined with their friends and their family. That's why on the wall we found beautiful carvings represents the relatives of the deceased. They carry a lot of offering to the spirit of the deceased. Look to the different type of offerings. Lotus flower, papyrus, the bread, baskets full of wine, ducks, and all these for the spirit of the deceased. We get to know more about how they slaughter the animals, and actually the carving is still in a perfect conditions. Also, from one of the tombs, this scene is very interesting because they also show us how they made the jewelry collections to the kings and queens. The first part, the first section, while weighting the gold. Second sections, melting the gold. Then by using different molds, they were able to make beautiful necklace to the king and queen like we found in the tomb of King Tutankhamun. From this scene, we get to know that they had dwarf during the pharaonic time, and they were working in all workshop like you see here in this slide. Also inside the tomb, we found the most beautiful statues of the servant. Of course, in the afterlife, I would like to have my servant with me. That's why we found beautiful statues of the servant making the different tasks. Like this lady, she's making wine. And this piece dates back to 2400 BC and still in a perfect conditions. Another statue, this the gentleman, he's making bread and he has his rolling bin. Let me introduce the first backpack and lunchbox. Introduced during the ancient time, 2400 BC. It's just beautiful, it's just a piece of art. Also, the beauty, the women's, they are very beautiful, even in the countryside. And this picture is actually to the lady in black, it dates back to 1950s. And exactly like the statue found inside the tombs. So there is no difference between the regular life in ancient time and the modern time today, especially in the countryside. So usually we start by going inside the step pyramid and one of the tombs and enjoy the beautiful statues displayed inside Imhotep museum by the main entrance of Saqqara Plateau. After we finished the tour, we stopped for having lunch, and actually in Egypt, the most famous bread is called pita bread. And all the time, we stop by one of the restaurants by the countryside and try the Egyptian falafel. And the Egyptian falafel, it's made out of fava beans. It's not chickpea like in Lebanon. And actually falafel, it's very famous, and actually it's one of the most delicious you can try here in Egypt. Or we have kebab and kofta. Lunch is the main course here in Egypt. And actually, it's the time for lunch. It's usually from 3 to 5, or from 4 to 6 o'clock in the evening. So this is mainly about Saqqara. And then after having lunch, we proceed from Saqqara to the Great Pyramid, to Giza Plateau. Giza Plateau, it's one of the most famous locations in the world. Why is that? Because it has one of the 7 wonders in ancient time. Giza Plateau, it's big and huge. And in Giza Plateau, we have about 10 pyramids. 10 pyramids for one family, for the father, the son, and for the grandson. Actually, the Great Pyramid of King Cheops considered one of the 7 wonders in ancient time. And actually, the ancient Egyptian people, they were very clever, because they learned from the previous experience from building the other pyramids. That's why King Cheops, he decided to move from Saqqara and move to Giza Plateau for different reasons. First, because he wanted to get the stone from a special limestone quarry located in Cairo. So he moved a little bit closer to the locations of the limestone quarry. Actually, the height of the Great Pyramid, it's about 137 meters. The original height, it was 147. And actually, it has more than 2,300,000 blocks of stone. Actually, try to imagine the work behind the construction of the pyramids, how many they work in cutting the stone, big blocks of stones from the quarry. And then a lot of labor, they move the stone to the location of the constructions. Then after that, they work in each piece separately. It's amazing how they prepared more than 2,300,000 blocks of stone like that. The sizes of the stones in the base of the pyramid, it's big and huge. Some blocks, it's over than 50 tons. So it's a lot of work. Bear in your mind that the king, he dug his tomb, or he built his pyramid during his life. Like you see here in this picture, we have the architect. He has the plan of the constructions of the pyramid on scrolls of papyrus. And the papyrus, it was the first paper invented during the ancient time. And here we have the king, King Cheops, and next to him, he's a prime minister. So King Cheops, he's watching the constructions of his pyramid. Also, note that till now, we don't know exactly how they built the pyramid. We do have different theory, modern and old theory, about the constructions. And actually, we imagine how they left up the stone by building mud brick ramp, like you see here. And the very strong men, they were able to pull the stone. And once as they go higher around the base by the mud brick ramp, they were able to go higher and higher and reach the top. Actually, in 1995, Professor Zahi Hawass, while he was digging close to the Sphinx in Giza Plateau, he found the tombs of the builders of the pyramids. Nowadays, we have evidence that who built the pyramids, they were Egyptian. And actually, we have all the evidence that this project, it was like a mega project. And actually, King Cheops, he wanted to help the people at the time, because actually they used to work in the constructions of the pyramid during the flood season. So all the farmers, they left their land and they run to build the pyramid for his king. And bear in your mind that the king at the time, he was the god on earth. That's why everyone, he wants to have something unique for his king. Actually, during the excavations, we found the statues of the builders, the owners of the pyramid, and these beautiful statues nowadays displayed in the Egyptian Museum in Cairo. And also, before we leave the Giza plateau, we have the Sphinx. The Sphinx is considered the biggest stone statue carved like that, found in Egypt. Abul Hol in Arabic language means the father of terror. The Sphinx, he was the guardian of Giza plateau. And the Sphinx, it represents the image of the builder of the second pyramid and was called King Khafre. So during exploring in Giza plateau, we stop in front of the pyramid, we walk around the pyramid and touch the stone. So when you will come and join us in one of our tour, you will have the chance even to kiss the Sphinx. One of the most interesting pictures, and actually you can see how beautiful it is. And also, I think everyone, he imagined Egypt as just desert. And the most famous picture is to take your picture with the pyramids in Giza plateau and the camel. So it's very interesting to take like a short camel ride and enjoy the space and enjoy the view of the pyramids and take wonderful shot to the pyramids together. Like you see, Giza, it's not a desert anymore, like you see. Here you can see the pyramids surrounded, or Giza plateau surrounded with all the modern houses, modern building from everywhere. And actually, recently, we had a big project and we make kind of developments to the whole area in Giza plateau. And actually nowadays we are building a new museum. And actually in this picture you can see how close it is. And actually according to the plan, we will be able to walk from the pyramids to the museum. And actually the inaugurations of this museum, it will be in the beginning of 2021. It's almost finished. And actually the president of Egypt, President Sisi, he postponed the opening to the beginning of next year, just to be, or to give a chance to everyone if you would like to attend the ceremony of the inaugurations of the Grand Egyptian Museum. And actually they started to move a lot of statues from the Egyptian Museum in Cairo, from Tahrir Square to the new museum. And actually in this museum, there is a very big gallery planned especially for the collection of King Tutankhamun, the boy king. So this museum, it will consider the biggest museum, house the artifacts that's back to ancient time, and it will house more than 600 artifacts that's back to different times, and it will be the biggest in the Middle East and also in Africa. Actually, after spending the day in Saqqara and Giza, Usually we fly down to Luxor, and Luxor it's one of the most um, famous city because it's like an upper air museum. Once actually it takes like an hour flying from Cairo down to Luxor. Once we get there, actually we board in one of the Nile cruises, and actually Steigenberger, it's one of the biggest chain here in Egypt, and actually usually we take a 4-night cruise from Luxor further south to Aswan. Luxor, it's a beautiful city, and it was the main capital of Egypt during the pharaonic time. So in Luxor, it's where the most famous pharaoh ruled Egypt, like Akhenaten, like King Tutankhamun, like Ramses the Great, like Ahmose, Thutmose, or Thutmoses. So the glory or the renaissance of the ancient civilization, it was in Luxor city. And wherever we walk in Luxor, in the east bank of the Nile or in the west bank of the Nile, we will see treasures, ruins of temples and tombs everywhere. Actually, the Nile cruises is just very blessing to take like a journey or enjoy the scenery of the countryside in Egypt, all the way from Luxor to Aswan. It's just a blessing. Or actually we stay in one night in one of the hotel in Luxor city, and actually have the view of the west side, and with the view of the Nile, it's very impressive. In Luxor city, in the west bank, in the east bank of the Nile, we have the most famous, impressive temple dedicated for the different god and goddess. The ancient Egyptian people, they worshipped a lot of god and goddess. They worshipped the sun, and they called the sun god Ra. And actually, they built a special temple for the sun god Ra in the area close to Cairo. And in Luxor, they were worshipping another god was called Amen. Then by 1100 BC, they combined the two faiths or the two beliefs together, and they made a special temple for the cult of the god Amen-Ra. Luxor temple, actually, it's a unique place because originally it was a temple built by Ramses the Great for Amen-Ra. Then later on, let's say 3rd century AD, a lot of Christian and monk, they lived inside this temple, and part of this temple was converted into a church. And actually, we found beautiful fresco decorated by the different priests and different monks with beautiful colors in the little bit in the end of Luxor temple. And also we have ruins of small mosque, and actually this temple is actually it's an example about how the Muslim and Christian and Jewish they lived together in the same place, and the good relations between the people even till now. Luxor temple, like you see, is decorated by the obelisk, the symbol of the sun god Ra, and you have one of the needles of Queen Cleopatra VII in Center Park. Whenever you go there, don't forget to take pictures with the beautiful obelisk. And actually, by the main entrance, we have the beautiful statue of Ramses the Great, the builder of this temple. This statue is about 30 meters high. And when we look to the columns, you will surprised, you will astonished, because you will never imagine how they build columns very high like that. Even the decorations of the capitals of the columns are different. Sometimes it looks like the closed bud or open papyrus. It's very interesting to just walk and feel the place. Then after Luxor temple, we have another huge temple called Karnak. Karnak as well is dedicated for the god Amen-Ra. and his wife and the son. Amen or Karnak temple considered the biggest temple dedicated to one of the god in ancient time. When you walk in between the columns, it's unbelievable. In one hall in Karnak temple, it has 134 columns. Like you see how big and huge it is. Look to how they connect the columns, and all these color is original colors. In the West Bank of Luxor, we have the most impressive temple dedicated for Queen Hatshepsut, one of the famous women ruled Egypt for 20 years, and her temple digged in the bedrock. And actually in Luxor, one of the adventure we take is to enjoy the view of all the ancient monuments in the West Bank of Luxor by the hot air balloon. This is the only opportunity to just watch the beauty of the ancient treasures, like you see here. Like you see in this one, how it's very beautiful to just fly over the statues of the pharaoh in the West Bank of Luxor. Watch the Nile and the greens, like the fields, and definitely watching the sunrise. It's just a blessing. So this is one of the most interesting experience we take in Luxor. And actually, after that, we will start sail from Luxor further south to Aswan city. And actually, on board of the Nile cruise, we have different activity. And usually, in one night, we call it the Egyptian night. Everyone on board, he will wear the nice outfit. This is called the galabeya. Galabeya for women, and it's called the kaftan for men. And actually, most of the men in the countryside and also in the southern part of Egypt, they wear galabeya, and usually it's made out of cotton, because in the southern part of Egypt, it's very hot and warm during the summer. So that's why the galabeya, it's very easy to wear it. And actually, like you see here, some of my friends, when we were enjoying the galabeya party, and actually somebody asked where they get the galabeya from. Actually, while sailing on the Nile, we found a small little boat, and the vendors, they tie the rope by the Nile cruise, and they start sell the galabeyas to the client on board of the Nile cruise, believe it or not. It's just very, it's different, you know, when you start haggle and bargain with the vendor while the Nile cruise is moving, and actually the vendor is yelling and negotiate the price with the vendor. Actually, it's like a new experience for all our clients. Then we get to Aswan city, and Aswan city just the paradise on earth. And actually the beauty, it's everywhere in Aswan. And we have there the faluka, the small sailboat. It's very interesting to take the small sailboat around one of the famous island in Aswan called Elephantine Island. And actually in the faluka, usually one of the Nubian people, he will welcome us with one of the famous traditional Nubian song. And actually he show us how to dance on the rhythm of the Nubian music. Again, while even taking the felucca, you will see like the small little boy, they have like small board and they run and to catch the felucca and say hello, and they try to sing the little bit English song, and they start to practice their English with our client. There is nothing like celebrating birthday on board of the Nile cruise. Celebrate with one of our client their birthday while sailing on the Nile. What a surprise. Have a cake and dance and thing in Egyptian song for the birthday. It's just very impressive. Visiting Isis temple, the mother of all god and goddess in Aswan city, is just a blessing. And UNESCO organizations played very important role to save or to help us to protect our treasures. And actually, this temple, it was in a danger during the constructions of the High Dam 1960. So we had planned to move and rescue this temple. And believe it or not, as they cut the whole temple with the island into small pieces, they numbered every block. Then they reconstruct the temple and the island in another locations afterwards. It's one of the most interesting, impressive places you can visit in Aswan. In Aswan city, actually, we have the Nubian people. Nubian people, they are Egyptian, but they are a little bit different from the rest of the Egyptian. They live in Egypt. What I mean by that, the Nubian people, they have their own tradition and culture and costume and habits. They even have their own language. And they live in Aswan and also in north of Sudan. And by the way, the Nubian people, their culture, it's very rich culture. In Aswan, usually we have the chance to visit the Nubian village and meet the Nubian people and go inside their houses and see how they live. And actually, like you see here in these pictures, even the design of their houses is different than the rest of Egypt. Of course, they have camel because of the Nubian village usually in the west, in the east side of the Nile. Actually, here you can see the lady, she carried the baby crocodile, and actually crocodile, it's part of the Nubian culture. When you go inside any, or you visit any house or any family in the Nubian village, you will find 6 or 7 crocodiles, because they believe that the crocodile will eat the evil spirits. That's why they have crocodiles in every house. The camel again, Aswan is considered the trading center between Egypt and the different countries in Africa. And actually, usually we get a lot of spices and herbs from the different places in Africa, and they sell it in Aswan market. As the design of the houses, like you see, it's beautiful with little dome on the top, because the weather is too hot in the summer. So they made the ceiling with little dome like that to be to help the air to be circulated in their homes. Henna tattoo, it's part of the Nubian culture again. And appear in your mind that the Nubian people, they are not rich people. And the women, they don't have money to buy accessories and jewelry. And instead of that, they have the beautiful henna tattoo over their hands and their arms. And actually, this is very beautiful pattern. The Nubian people, they are very famous because they are very kind. They have a lovely smile and they welcome everyone to their home. And actually, they have a very adorable and smart kids. And actually, during our visit to the Nubian village, usually we visit small school, kindergarten for kids. They are 4 and 5 years old. And usually we meet one of the Nubian teachers, and he teaches a little bit about how to pronounce the Nubian letters and Nubian numbers in English language. Before we or after Aswan, definitely we need to stop in Alexandria. And Alexandria city, it's the most famous city named after Alexander the Great. And it's located by the Mediterranean Sea. And actually, Alexander the Great, he was one of the most famous leaders. And actually, I'm lucky because I'm born and raised in Alexandria, the city of Alexander. This is the locations of one of the citadel, one of the fortress. It was the locations of the ancient lighthouse. The ancient lighthouse, it was the pharaohs, one of the ancient 7 wonders, but unfortunately it was destroyed by the earthquake. In Alexandria, we walk on the feet of the most famous leaders, Alexander the Great. We remember Queen Cleopatra the Seventh, Mark Antony, Ptolemy first, Ptolemy second, and see all their treasures. In Alexandria, most of the monuments dates back to Roman time, like this Roman amphitheater, which dates back to 2nd century AD, and believe it or not, it was discovered by merchants 1960. This area, it was totally covered by dirt and sand. Nobody expected to find something like that until a group of archaeologists from Poland, while they were looking for the tomb of Alexander the Great in this area, and suddenly they found this theater. Try to imagine that one day they will find the tomb of Alexander the Great over there, maybe underneath this tree. Who knows? Egyptian history still has a lot of secret, a lot to see and a lot to find. Also in Alexandria, we visit the only catacomb has been discovered in Egypt. This catacomb is 3 levels under the ground, and it's totally different than the one in Rome or in one in Paris, because it's big and huge. And inside we found the beautiful carving. It's like a combination between the different style of arts that's back to pharaonic time and Greek and Roman time. This carving is original, still in a perfect conditions. During the excavations, they found beautiful bath made out of marble, and it's very modern design. In Alexandria, we have the most famous library. And actually, it's not only a library, but it's a big culture center. And Alexandria, during the Greek and Roman time, it was the center for culture because of the ancient library. But unfortunately, the ancient library was destroyed by fire. Then later on, 2002, we had this beautiful library. This project consists of a planetarium, conference hall, and a reading area. This reading area, it's considered the 2nd biggest in the whole world after the one in Congress. We have different museums inside this reading area for manuscripts and also for the ancient artifacts. And actually you can Google the Alexandria Library or Alexandria Biblioteca, and actually you can log in and you can enjoy reading any book inside the library through the website. By the main entrance of the library, we have one of the statue was in the water of the Mediterranean Sea for more than 2,000 years. And actually, the Minister of Antiquities decided to pick some of these statues from the old harbor, and they made restorations and cleaning to these pieces. And like you see, this statue represents Ptolemy II, and this statue is still in a perfect conditions. The coast of Alexandria is just very relaxing. And the Corniche, it's the main road. And actually this building in the corner, it's one of the most famous building called Cecil Hotel. Cecil Hotel, it has a nice story because actually Montgomery, he used to come and stay in this hotel during the World War II. And actually we have a very famous bar there. It's called Monty Bar. Actually, this hotel, it's not very important because of that, but it's overlooking the old harbor. Try to imagine that you are relaxing in the balcony, and imagine that the palace of Queen Cleopatra VII and Mark Antony, it was right in front of you in the water. We are lucky because we found ruins of the palace of Queen Cleopatra VII under the water in this area. So try to imagine the beauty of Queen Cleopatra VII, the story, the love story between Cleopatra VII and Mark Antony. Till now, we don't know exactly where they buried. A lot of archaeologists, they are working in Alexandria, in the center of Alexandria, looking for the tomb of Cleopatra VII. Or some of them, they dig a little bit in the west coast of Alexandria. And I hope they will find the tomb of Queen Cleopatra VII very soon. So in Alexandria, we are waiting for Cleopatra VII, we are waiting for Mark Antony, we are waiting for the tomb of Alexander the Great, and every day we discover new things. Also, we don't want to forget Abu Simbel. And of course, Abu Simbel Temple, it's one of the most impressive temple you will ever see in your life. Abu Simbel Temple located in the center, little bit of Lake Nasser, further south of Egypt, south of Aswan. And Ramses the Great decided to build two impressive temples in these locations. One for himself and the other one for his wife, Queen Nefertari. The two temples dug in the bedrock. Like you see the beautiful, huge statues decorating the main entrance. During the constructions of the High Dam 1960, the water was about to cover this temple. And UNESCO organizations, again, they held a campaign to save the Abu Simbel temple, the two temples dedicated for God Amun-Ra, and were built by Ramses the Great. We are lucky because all these treasures are still in a perfect conditions. We can touch it, we can feel it, and we get the original energy from it. And actually, when you go closer and check the small, tiny details of all these statues, you will be impressed. How they were very precise like that. How they get to carve statues of the king and queens using different materials. How they carve the statues made out of basalt or granite or limestone. What tools used to carve the beautiful statues like that. Egypt, we have beauty everywhere, not only on land, but also on the sea. And actually, we are lucky because along the coast of the Red Sea, we have beautiful summer resort, beautiful cities. It's just new cities, they're full of beautiful resorts, and actually two of the most famous cities, one called Sharm el Sheikh and Hurghada. Sharm el Sheikh and Hurghada by the Red Sea are very famous by the water sports in general. Diving, snorkeling, see the reefs, the colored fish, different kinds. It's like the paradise under the water. Sharm el Sheikh and Hurghada considered the center for the water activity in general. Oh my God, try to imagine how beautiful it is. You can close your eyes. The beautiful beaches everywhere, beautiful sand everywhere. Look to the water, how clean it is. Look to the small fishing boat and yacht. And to take like a day trip and dive in the water of the Red Sea, enjoy fishing or snorkeling. It's just a very special treat. Also, bear in your mind that women in ancient time or ancient civilizations, they were very important, and they get all their rights, and they were very beautiful and they were very elegant. From all the scenes inside the tomb, we get to know how they dressed, the design of their clothes. Look at this picture. You can see here the lady. She carry the mirror and she have her cup of tea, and the hairdresser, she's fixing her wig. Oh my God, it's so beautiful. Look to the design of the white necklace, and the design of the clothes is very modern. Over the head of the mummies, we found a different wig. And actually, bear in your mind that both men and women, they used to wear wigs during the pharaonic time. Of course, they restored this wig, but look to how they arranged the golden ring. We found beautiful headdress, beautiful crowns made out of gold, or gold and inlaid by precious stones. Look to the design of it, how beautiful it is. Inside the tombs, we found a beautiful comb made out of ivory and ebony. This one, it's very interesting because on the wall we found the picture represent the daughter of King Cheops, who built the Great Pyramid, and the design of her clothes is just the latest fashion today, the color and the design of it. So we talk everything from the ancient Egyptian people. We follow their traditions a little bit, especially in the countryside. There is no separations between the people in ancient time and us today. When you walk in Upper Egypt inside the temple and you look into the faces of the men there, you will notice there is something, it's similar to the statues you saw inside one of the museums, the same structure of the face and the hair. During the pharaonic time, actually the ancient Egyptian people, they worshipped different god and goddess, and they worshipped the animals as well. They worshipped the ram, and actually the ram, it was a symbol of the god Amen Ra. And of course here You can see this Sphinx. We call them the Sphinx with ram head. This statue was made by Ramses II, and actually he made his statue protected by the god Amun-Ra in the form of the ram. The image of the god Amun-Ra everywhere inside the Egyptian temple depicted like a man with a special crown over his head with two feathers. They worship the jackal, and actually they made the jackal the god of eternity, the god of resurrection, the god of symmetry. And one of the form was worshipped in the form of the full jackal, or in the form of the man with the head of a jackal, and was called god Anubis. And Anubis, he was the god of the mummifications. And here is the beauty goddess Hathor. Hathor, she was the goddess of beauty and love and dance. One of her impressive temple in north of Luxor called Dendera Temple. And Dendera Temple is just a piece of art. And all the column there is decorated by her beautiful face. And actually Hathor, she was worshipped in the form of a cow, or the form of a woman with the ears of the cow, like you see here. In every wall inside temples or inside the tombs, we will see the beauty of the figures of queens or kings with or combined with one of the god and goddess, like you see here, goddess Hathor with the sun disk between her horn, and she's taking the queen Nefertari with her, the Nubian queen. Nefertari, she was the most beautiful woman, and she was the wife of Ramses the Great. Look to the beauty of her dress. It's very impressive. Also, in Egypt, we are lucky because we found the tomb of the kings and queens. And we are lucky because we found their tombs in Luxor, in the West Bank. And this place called the Valley of the King and the Valley of the Queens. In only one place, Valley of the King, we found about 63 tombs of kings and queens and the high officials. This site, it's very famous and it's very important to us. Look how it looks like. So Valley of the King, it's full of treasures, the treasures of kings and some of their families. All these entrances are entrance of the tombs. Some of these tombs has been discovered lately by Professor Zay Hawass. So how the tombs looks like. Once we enter one of these entrances, we will astonished by the size, by the colors, by the designs, by the magic spell, all the way from the main entrance of the tomb to the end. From the beginning or from the entrance of the tomb in the Valley of the King, it's like they tell us stories about how the spirit will reach the paradise, how the spirit will resurrect and meet the god Osiris, the god of eternity. These colors sell in a perfect conditions. This is original colors. We always ask about how they did that. Try to imagine that some of the tombs, it has more than 100 rooms. Some tombs, it has like 10 or 9 or 8. So the size of the tombs, it was depend upon how long the king lived. If he died old, he had time to complete and finish his tomb. If not, like King Tutankhamun, so we found his tomb very small, plain, some huge part of the wall is plain without decorations. Try to imagine the ancient Egyptian people, the labor, how they carved, they digged in the bedrock. They dug the different rooms, and then after that, they prepared the wall. They smoothed the surface of the wall. Then after that, they made the drawing. They made the magic spells on the wall. Then by chisel and hammer, they just keep digging, carve the letters. After that, they add the colors, the paint. Like you see here, the artists, they make the drawing. Then after that, they add the different colors separately. Here you can see the king again with his prime minister. He's checking his tomb, what they did, if the scenes made perfectly or not. They need to add something or not. And actually during the excavations, we found the palette, the color palette in good conditions with the original colors used thousands of years ago. And of course, nothing like the tomb of King Tutankhamun, the boy king, and his golden mask. And when you come to visit us, you will be able to enjoy the treasures of King Tutankhamun in the Grand Egyptian Museum. And the tomb of King Tut is considered the smallest tomb in the Valley of the King. And it was discovered 1922 by Howard Carter. I guess his name will be remembered forever. He was lucky because he found the original seal by the main entrance of the tomb of King Tut. Some of the black and white pictures represent Howard Carter while checking the mummy and the golden coffin of King Tutankhamun. Looked at the tombs, how it looks like, how it was discovered, how it was found. It was like storage. They found everything was used by King Tutankhamun from he was a kid till he became the king of Egypt. We found his chariot. We found some of his treasures. This wall actually inside his tomb, and it's decorated by the baboon. And the baboon, it was the symbol of the rising sun. Why is that? Because they believe that the spirit of King Tut will rise again with the sun. Actually, in the tomb in the Valley of the King, we still have his mummy is still over there, but the treasures of King Tutankhamun, some is still in the Egyptian Museum in Cairo, like his golden throne. If you look from each side, you will see beauty, the name of King Tut, the feather for protections, the double crown of Upper Lower Egypt. On the throne, we have the beautiful image of King Tut and his wife. Look to the beauty of her dress. It's made out of silver. Also, we found the treasures like the statue of Anubis. We found his internal organs inside this 4 canopic jars. We found his impressive gold coffin, and it's made out of just solid gold inlaid by precious stones. And we have gold mines in different locations in the eastern desert and also in Aswan, the land of gold. That's why most of the treasures of King Tutankhamun were made out of gold, like you see the small statues of King Tut. Even his slippers covered with gold. Gold for them represents the sun, the complete connections to the sun god Ra. We found his beautiful, impressive, precious jewelry collections, like you see the wide necklace. It's so beautiful and elegant. And the beetle, it was a very important symbol for us because it was a symbol of resurrection during the pharaonic time and also the symbol of good luck. That's why we found the symbol of the beetle everywhere inside the tombs or in the jewelry collections of the kings and queens. This is beautiful pendant of King Tutankhamun as well. And this one here is decorated by the Eye of Horus, the falcon god, the eye of protection, to watch and protect us from the evil spirit. And actually you have it in the printed US dollar. So you took the design of the Eye of Horus from our ancient mythology and our ancient civilizations. So as you saw, Egypt is full of treasures. In every city we have a lot to see. We need to explore more and more and more. Every day it's a new adventure. Every city it's different. Egypt is like a box of fruits. Every city, it has a special taste. It has a special flavor. Egyptian people are very friendly and welcome everyone from all over, and very helpful. And they welcome everyone. And of course, I hope by the beginning of 2021, we will start touring again. We will start exploring again and see and feel the treasures. We have a lot to offer. Can't wait to see you all here in Egypt and stay with us and enjoy our beautiful places together. Thank you so much, Mara. And now is the time for the Q&A. I will try to answer your questions. And of course, it gives me more treasures to answer all your questions.
Okay, thank you, Samia. What great information. I actually toured with Samia a few years ago, and I have learned some things from her today that I didn't know of then. So we have a lot of great questions. Samia, do you want me to dive in and ask you the questions as I've been mining them, or would you like to go for it from there? There were several questions about the Nubians and what the blue spice was, how are the Nubian children, what religion are they older than the Egyptians? So there's quite a lot of information or questions about them. Do you want to dive in and talk about them at this time? Samia, can you hear me?
Just a minute, Mara, because it's just, I don't know what happens because it's just everything stopped.
Okay, so I can start again. So I was mining the questions, so I know some questions. If I can just ask you them and you can comment. There were several questions about the Nubians. So when you showed the Nubian village, a lot of questions came up about the blue spice Also, the questions about the crocodiles, are they live? The henna tattoos, do they mean things? And if you could talk a little bit more about the Nubian people, are they older than the Egyptians? Were they settled here beforehand? There were a lot of questions about the Nubians. So could you comment a little bit about that?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Can you hear me well?
Yes, yes.
Perfect, perfect. So actually, the Nubian people, the race, they came from Egypt. They are considered Egyptian, but different race. But in the end, they are Egyptian. The white stuff, we use it to bleaching the white clothes or bleach the white clothes. And actually, a lot of women in the countryside, after they just wash the white clothes with the regular detergent, they just soak it in this blue stuff to keep it more bright. This is regards of the blue stuff. Second is, what about the second questions, Mara?
So the other one was the henna tattoos. Are there meanings to the designs or are they just fun?
No, for the design, it's just traditional motifs. So sometimes they have like the Eye of Horus, like the sun, like the pyramids. So they don't have a specific pattern. But
what about the blue spice? Can you tell us about the blue spice that you showed in the picture?
they use it, the blue stuff, they use it during washing their clothes. After they wash their clothes by the regular detergent, they soak the white clothes in this blue stuff to make it more
so
bright.
it's a dye. It's a dye for clothing.
A little bit, but it's let's say it's not a dye because actually it will just make it more clear.
Okay. And what about the religion of the Nubians? Do you know what religion they practice?
Muslims, they are Muslims.
Okay.
Yeah, because actually 70% of the population of Egypt are Muslim, and the majority are Sunni. We are follow the Sunni sects. For the Coptic Christian here, let's say the majority are Orthodox, follow the Greek Orthodox Church, and let's say 95% of the Nubian people are Muslims, and we have few community of the Christian over there.
The crocodiles that you showed, are the families holding live crocodiles, or are they
live crocodile? Actually, it's like pets, like cats and dogs.
So it's a pet.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about the tombs a little bit more, and the pyramids. Are all pyramids tombs, for one?
Yes, of course. Okay. The tombs, either tomb or the pyramid for one.
Mm-hmm. And then how many years do you think or know does it take to make a pyramid?
To make what? Excuse me?
To make a pyramid. To construct
to build a pyramid. Yeah. Actually, it's different from it depends upon how long the king lived, right? Because some of the tomb found unfinished.
Yes.
Right. So some pyramids it took like 20 years. The other it just 11 years or 30 years, depend upon the size and how long the king lived.
Yes. Let's talk about hieroglyphics. First, there's some questions about, are there more than one language in hieroglyphics, and have they been completely translated?
Yeah. First is the hieroglyphics. Hieroglyphics, it was the secret official language of Egypt. So it was used mainly inside the tombs and inside the temples to carve the letters on the wall. Okay. So this is, let's say, we started to find the letters 3000 BC. Okay, this is the beginning of the hieroglyphics. Then later on, we found that the ancient Egyptian people, they started to use another language called hieratic language. Hieratic language, it's simple than the hieroglyphics. The hieratic language, it was used a lot by the high priest inside the Egyptian temple. And actually it was easy for the common people to use it in their daily life activities. So it's easier than the hieroglyphics. That's why the hieratic language is, let's say, started to be used from 2400 BC. Then after that, let's say from 1000 BC, when a lot of traders from Egypt, they started to trade with a lot of Greeks. And a lot of Greeks, they came to Egypt and they started to communicate with the Egyptian. At the time, they started to use another language called the Demotic language. And demo, according to the Greek language, means people, which means that it's the language of the people. So by the end of the pharaonic time, a lot of Egyptians, they started to use Demotic language. Then after that, by 2nd century AD, all the Egyptians, they started to use the Coptic language. And the Coptic language was used till 641 AD, when Amr ibn al-As came from Saudi Arabia to introduce the Islamic religion to the Egyptian. And at that time, he introduced the Arabic language to us. The language was changed from time to time, and it was dependent upon the use of it, where you will write down the text, where you will write down the magic spell, and so on.
Okay. So a question about the workers, which we had a lot of questions about this when we were on tour, because there has been different stories about the workers. Can you tell us about the workers? Were they paid? Were they slaves? Did they have families? How were their lives?
Actually, a lot of questions it was about that. And actually, as Egyptologists, we will not have the right answer of all these questions till 1995, when Professor Zahi Hawass found the tomb. Actually, the tomb is still in a perfect condition. And actually, the ancient Egyptian people, they were very clever because they recorded everything on the wall. So, for example, try to imagine that we get to know how many hours they work during the day. So they work in different shifts. Actually, we get to know even the type of food served to them. By the way, they get paid for their work in the construction of the pyramids. And actually, during the excavations, they found some bones, skulls in a perfect conditions. We were surprised when we found medical tools inside the tombs of the workers. So try to imagine that if you have slave, you will give him medical treatment, you will make him surgery, you will feed him with different type of food, the highest quality of food to give them the energy and power and to be fit and physically fit to be able to build the pyramids. And now we have evidence of all of that.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the library in Alexandria. There's questions about what exactly is on display. The questions are about how fantastic and elaborate it is. Can you research genealogy there? What is the library best known for?
Of course, the library, it's a normal library. So it's a lot of students use it for researches and doctors and so on. So it's mainly used for the different researches. And actually the location of the library, it's right in front of the University of Alexandria. So try to imagine how many students go every day inside the library to make his research there. How it looks like, of course, for us, it's very interesting to see the construction, the building, how it looks like. That's why usually we go inside the main reading area to see how huge it is. Plus the opportunity of seeing some of the old manuscripts. A lot of people, they don't know exactly how it looks like, how fine they are. Also, we have the museum. It has some of the artifacts, some of the statues has been discovered in Alexandria during the excavations. Away from it's a normal library, but it's just to enjoy the modern building, how it looks like, how huge it is. And of course, from their website, you can sign in, and of course you can go inside the different different sections inside, and actually you can use the archive center in the library. So we can learn and we can get a lot from the website.
Great, thank you. Okay, so someone had an observation that in the drawings on the cave art, there's never really women depicted. And the question is, were the women involved in the cave art, and what is the role of women in the ancient times as well as in present day? What is their role and how are they perceived?
Of course, we figured that, and we found that the women from day one, during the pharaonic time, they took all their rights. They work in all aspects of life. We found women in the temple as priests. We found women as artists. We found women as queens, and they ruled Egypt. One of the rights, for example, one of the rights of the women is to say yes if anyone proposed for marriage, for example. One of her rights is to keep her money. The women during the pharaonic time, it was very important because it represents the mother of all the creature on earth. That's why we found the representations of the beautiful goddess in the form of the women, like goddess Isis, like goddess Nephthys, like goddess Sekhmet, and so on, goddess Hathor. So they show the beauty of our great civilizations in the form of the women, either in the form of the goddess or the form of the queens, or even the servants. We found how they made their statues in a perfect conditions like that. So it was they had very important role, the same like today. And of course we take all our rights here in Egypt today. We don't have any differences.
So in terms of the tombs and the in the pyramids and in the other areas, what is the light source, and how were they able to build without light? And obviously now what is the light source as people are allowed to visit?
What do you mean by that?
So light is, they didn't have electricity, right? So what was
the oil lamps? The oil lamps, they use oil lamps.
Oil lamps, right?
Oil lamps,
and now is there electricity strung through the tubes?
Nowadays, definitely the electricity.
Of course.
Definitely.
Right. Yes.
So bear in your mind that not all the tombs in the Valley of the King or in the Valley of the Queens are open for visits. Because we want to limit the number of the visitors inside the tomb, to be able to protect the scenes and the colors from the effect of the light and the flash.
Yes, light and air, correct?
And air and flash from taking pictures.
Yes. Yes, so you can speak to that. That's a very interesting thing. When you're a tourist in Egypt, you cannot freely take photographs, and you have to pay for a photo pass in order to take photos. And there are some places you can take photos and some places you can't. Samia, why don't you speak to that?
It's little bit different, Mira, because actually last year, Minister of Antiquities, he gave us the permission to take pictures for free inside all the like you see in the open air, in the temples and the pyramids. We only get tickets inside the museums.
Okay.
Inside the museum, and also inside the pyramids, if you would like to take pictures inside the tombs in the Valley of the King or in inside the pyramid. This is regards the camera. And of course, all the tour directors and the tour guide, of course, the announcers, they tell their client about the regulations for using the camera. Of course, we announce day by day about the following day if they will need to get extra tickets for the using the camera or not. So I think I do that. So I always give them a note about when and where they can use the camera for free.
There's one question about Abu Simbel. Is this included in a normal Egyptian and the Nile tour?
No, no, it's not, because actually to get there, we need to fly from Aswan city farther south in Lake Nasser for 50 minutes. So that's why it needs another extra money for flying from Aswan down to Abu Simbel.
Yes, it's not included in the price, but it is an option. So you can pay for an additional excursion to there, which we did, and it was truly amazing.
Yeah. You're right.
Some questions, and you can answer this one. I'm not sure what it's referring to, but did you talk about magical spells? And if so, can you elaborate on that? Do you know what the reference is?
Yeah, and actually, bear in your mind that the ancient Egyptian people, they put all their imaginations in words, right? So in these words, for protections and also for to help the spirit for transformations, or to guide the spirit or the soul of the deceased to resurrect in the afterlife. So somehow it's like in the Bible or in the Quran or in Old Testament, we have special rituals, special prayer. For them, it was somehow they connect the magic spell to the prayer to allow the spirit to resurrect in the afterlife. So it's connected somehow.
Sure. Question about the party on the Nile cruise. Can you tell us what that party was called and what were the women wearing, and did it have a name, the outfits?
It's called the Egyptian night, and this party is called Galabeya party. So Galabeya stands for women. For men, it's called kaftan.
Great. Does Egypt have gold and silver mines, or did the Egyptians have to trade for gold and silver?
We have a lot of gold mines in the eastern deserts and also in Nubia, in Nubian land. We have silver, but not a lot. And most of the Egyptians even till today, we prefer gold. Of course, Egypt is very famous by the highest quality of gold. We have it in 24 karat, 21, 18 karat gold. And actually, if you ask any woman, if she has extra money, she will say, definitely I will buy a piece of jewelry and keep it. We keep it for the black, we always say the black days. And of course, it's a good investment. The prices of the gold increase day by day. Most of the Egyptians, even today, they prefer to keep or to save their money in gold.
Okay, two things. One, can you speak to the safety of the tourists, especially women and Americans? And then two, what is the best time of year to be a tourist in Egypt?
The best time to come to Egypt is definitely in the winter.
Late fall.
Right? Avoid July and August. July and August is very hot and warm, especially in Upper Egypt, in Aswan and Luxor. So let's say from October till May. From October to May, the weather is perfect.
And let's talk about the safety of tourists.
Of course, Egypt is very safe. Of course, with every group, of course, we have a security representative. He's always with us during traveling or during the day. Of course, normally, as a woman, I don't walk in the street, you know, in empty street, isolated area. Of course, I don't do that. So I think these regulations is everywhere around the world. I think women, they can walk everywhere, but in centers and places that they feel that it's safe to walk around and so on. For the American tourists, of course, they can go anywhere, but they have to be careful to where they are going.
Okay. Oh, there's a question about the statues. You know how you see the statues and all of the noses are destroyed? Can you speak to
why the nose? Because they believe that if the person, he was a naughty person, so it's like they punish him by break the nose, kind of punishment.
That's very funny.
Maybe because it's the weak part in the statue.
Yes, exactly.
That's why it was very easy to break.
Yep.
But actually, some mentioned that it's somehow it's related to the action of the person during his life, if he was a good person or not.
That's funny. So let's, since we've taken a lot of time out of people's days, I want to wrap this up with one last comment, and we're going to bring it to the modern day. Can you talk to us about the pandemic? How has it affected Egypt? And, you know, how are you all dealing with it there? There's a lot of interest to see how it's being dealt with all over the world.
Of course, of course, we had a very bad effect since the day one, and of course, the government, they worked hard with the president of Egypt to control the number of the infected people with the coronavirus day by day. And believe it or not, Mera, my last tour ended on the 10th of March, believe it or not. And 10th of March, nothing was here. It was just the beginning of spread the coronavirus in Egypt. And within 2 weeks, everything stopped. The government worked hard. Of course, we stopped the flying, we stopped the work partly. All the private sector, the government sector for a while. And actually we hit the peak of the wave of the coronavirus. And actually these days it's much better. The number of the infected people going less day by day. Yesterday, for example, it was like 160 people in all over Egypt.
That's great.
And actually, we 2 months, about, let's say 6 weeks, we opened 2 cities in Egypt, 3 cities in Egypt for the regular tour, like in South Sinai, which is include Hurghada and Sharm el-Sheikh, and one of the cities by the coast of the Mediterranean Sea. And we started to have customer, they came from different places from Europe. Of course, the government, they sanitized all the archaeological sites, all the museums, they cleaned everything. Of course, we have a very strong regulations at the airports, at the hotels, and at the Nile cruises, all the restaurants and coffee shop and so on. Let's say we started to back to our normal life recently. Actually, we used to wear the mask for like 2 months, and it was obligatory from the government in all the government work and also in the private sector. And actually it helps a lot to cut the number of those infected by or affected by the virus.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Well, thank you, Samia, very much for sharing your country with us and answering all the questions. I really do appreciate it. I'm going to just give another slide up there for our future tours. If you would like to participate in them, you can take a screenshot of these. You can sign up on our website. And if you have any additional questions, you can find me at my email address or through the website. And I would be happy to relay them and get answers to them. So thank you. Look at Samia, she's taking a picture. She's on social media.
Mara, you know me very well,
Right.
all the time just taking pictures and, take a Snapchat and it's
That's
like,
awesome. Thank you so
I
much,
want to
Samia.
keep it.
I know
Most
it's very late for you, and I really appreciate your time, and I know everybody else did. And honestly, for all the people still in the audience, thank you, because it's you all that makes us keep doing this. And as long as you enjoy them, we will come back and deliver more virtual tours for you while we can't travel right now. So have a good night. Thank you very much. And thank you again, Samia.
Till we meet again. Till we meet
All right,
again.
we will meet again. We will meet again. Thanks a lot,
Yeah.
and have a good night. I'm going to close the meeting.